Well, let's get another perspective on the same matter with from our studios in Abuja. Margaret?
Well, thank you, Chamberlain. I have with me Mr. Mike Ejiofor, who is a former director with the State Security Services. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Thank you.
What do you make of all that has been going on? I mean, we did hear the military say that they were going to start this Operation Python Dance 2 in the southeastern states. Interestingly, they're yet to start. I think it's supposed to start on the 15th, going into October. Yet, we're already beginning to see skirmishes. People had expressed some apprehension before, just shortly after the announcement. And then this week, you know, we've seen some confrontation from, you know, members of IPOB and the military as well. What do you make of all that has been going on?
Well, it's a very worrying situation. Very, very disturbing. Because, in fact, I've been thinking of a lot of things since this incident happened. You recall that sometime about 2 weeks ago, movements of armored personnel carriers were reported, and people were watching in apprehension of what was going to happen.
Movement of armored personnel carriers?
Armored personnel carriers, yes, to the southeast. We saw it in the social media, from wherever, into the southeast. I don't know where they were coming from. It was in the social media. They were moving armored personnel vehicles, and people were looking in awe of what the intentions were, because they were in trailers. I saw them on social media. Now, this issue of...
how seriously how much seriousness do you attach to that? Because I've seen armored personnel carrier moving into Abuja.
To it because I believed it was an intended operation in the southeast.
Okay.
So that was being prepared. But now we have seen it. This Operation Python Dance, or whatever, it has a grave consequence to our national security.
What precisely are your fears?
My fears are that this situation, if not checked now, can conflagrate into a more serious situation, national security situation. Because the dance, let's look at the Operation Python Dance. What is a python? A python looks at the victim, conscripts the victim before he swallows. That is not conciliatory at all. And at this stage of our national life, we will have a lot of security challenges. We should try and see how we can solve some of the problems instead of adding more to our problems. That dance, it's not necessary. It's uncalled for, and I'm using this opportunity to appeal to the military authorities and the federal government to stop that dance. That dance is not necessary.
Now, they claim that they had done the dance before and that it recorded huge successes when it was carried out. And this is just based on the successes they recorded then. They think that it's time to have another one again.
Not under this type of tense situation. You see, two wrongs cannot make a right. We're talking of Kanu.
What's the first wrong?
The first wrong is that Kanu is agitating for state of Biafra. I believe in Nigeria. And every patriotic Nigerian must be worried with what is going on. So if Kanu is agitating for state of Biafra, it's not every Igbo man that is in support of Kanu. Now, he's been charged to court. He was given bail conditions that overtly have seemed to be breached. So we should wait for him to appear in court. He has a date in court. The court will now be in a position to decide either to revoke the bail conditions because he has flouted it. So the army going to confront Kanu with his group is going to throw us into serious problem. I witnessed the civil war. No country survives a second civil war. We must do everything to avoid this. The military appeal, I'm not giving an order, must be withdrawn in the interest of peace. In the interest of peace, the military, that dance of the military must stop. Because if you look at if you gauge the pulse in the media, even from public opinion leaders, elders, not just from the southeast, the whole country, the situation is tense. And by the time this thing gets out of control, because you can see some movements now in trailers from reports we are getting, going to Kano's place, they are definitely going to confront the army.
Is that the social media again?
Oh, yes. Even in newspapers reports, you can see movement of people from different places going to Abia, Umuahia precisely. And the governor, in his wisdom, has also taken initial step to impose curfew. But I don't see the purpose of that curfew. Because whatever is going to happen during the day. Nobody's coming out at night. So the best thing to do to check this matter is for the military to stop this show of force. It is not necessary, it's uncalled for.
Just wondering though, you know, we do know that in recent times the military have been heavily involved in civilian operations. I think at the last counts they were involved in about 28 states. Only recently the Speaker of the House of Representatives
I was coming to that.
Was saying that, you know, the military authority no longer act in aid of civil authorities, that they seem to have now become civilian authority themselves. But people are saying that that's because we have seen how civilian authorities have, you know, also not been able to, you know, step up to the plate. Look at what happened in the Niger Delta, for instance. Look at what precisely happened again in the northeast of the country. And at the end of the day, it was the military who was called to save the day. We're beginning to see even pockets of, you know, crisis in the middle belt of the country, and the military is also being invited there as well. They're involved in all of these operations. Do you think that even if, assuming, you know, without conceding that this was all about security in the southeast region, do you think that if the military really did have a role to play there, they should not be invited there at all for whatever reason?
Military, what are the responsibilities of the military? What are their functions? Section 217 sub 2 of the 1999 Constitution spelled it out.
And they said they're well within the Constitution. They haven't done anything outside of the Constitution.
Let's look at it. Protection of the sovereignty of this country from external aggression. Looking at our borders, aiding civil authority, which of course the maintenance of internal security is the sole responsibility of the police. So it's only when the police is overwhelmed that you can call in the army. There is no situation warranting deployment of the military in Aban or Abia now. There is no need for it.
So it's
going to trigger reactions.
Are you saying it will be okay in all the southeastern states? I mean, in other southeastern states, but not in Abia?
No. The southeast. You see, the issue is what is the bone of contention? You have Kano asking for the state of Biafra. State of Biafra is not made up of Abia alone. It's made of the whole southeast. But the point I'm making is that nobody is in support of agitation of Biafra or separation or balkanization of this country. So deploying, like Kano has said in many of the papers I've read too, that elections will not hold in Anambra State. So Anambra is a flashpoint now that the military should go to now because the election is by the corner.
So they can deploy the military.
Military is not even by court decision. Military is not even supposed to be involved in elections.